Donald Trump takes election advice from a dictator who doesn't have free and fair elections, number one. Number two, it shows that all of the legacy media outlets that told us breathlessly last year that no, Donald Trump now loves mail-in voting. Republicans love mail-in voting. Why are people like you, Mark Elias, continuing to say that they hate mail-in voting when after all, the RNC issued a press release now they say mail-in voting. It was all nonsense then. It has always been nonsense. The fact is more Democrats right now use mail-in voting than Republicans, and Republicans have opposed it. And they continue to oppose it. And they continue to spread lies and misinformation about it. And Donald Trump, at the first drop of the hat to get rid of it, will try to. The good news is he doesn't have that authority. But I want to point the audience to what I think was the most important part of that social media post this morning that kicked this all off, because he kind of gave the game away. He said, remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the president, tells them to do. There it is, right there. He wants to tell the states how to tabulate and count votes. He believes that the states have to do his bidding, and if he says this candidate got more votes, that's what the states have to do. He's going to try to subvert the outcome of the 2026 election, and we all need to be prepared.
Well, to that point, it's a rough time for those of us who have actually read the Constitution, Mark Elias. So let's see what the Constitution says about this question. Article 1, Section 4, Clause 1, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of senators. Okay, here's my question to you. If he doesn't have the authority to do what he's saying he wants to do, is this then a clarion call to his friends in Congress to pull this through legislatively? What is the mechanism by which he actually gets this done?
Yeah, so number one, it's a clarion call for red states where they can pass laws to massively disenfranchise communities of color and older voters and constituencies of the Democratic Party. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, it is a clarion call for members of Congress in the House and John Thune and the Senate Republicans to try to do the same. But as importantly as all of that, it is a clarion call for Republican operatives, for election deniers. By the way, the Attorney General is an election denier. The Director of the FBI is an election denier. Lots of U.S. attorneys who have been appointed on an interim basis are election deniers. And they are also at the state and local level in election boards. And it is a clarion call to them to say that Donald Trump wants to dictate how people can vote and how votes are counted and who gets to win. And they need to follow his direction.
Texas Democrats have returned home after being away for 2 weeks. I want you to listen. I'm going to read to you what they said here. We killed the corrupt special session, withstood unprecedented surveillance and intimidation, and rallied Democrats nationwide to join this existential fight for fair representation, reshaping the entire 2026 landscape. That last part there, reshaping the entire 2026 landscape, do you agree that this move that they made, the attention that was garnered from it, has put us in a better place when it comes to 2026 and free and fair elections?
Look, I think we're in a better place. I wouldn't go so far as to say it has reshaped the landscape. We were in a better place because they slowed down what Texas was doing. And it gave Democratic governors the breathing room to figure out how they might counter it. Now, that is great as far as it goes. I'm thrilled to see what Governor Newsom is doing in California. And I'm happy to hear what Governor Pritzker and Governor Hochul say they may do in New York. Frankly, I'd like to hear every Democratic governor talk about what they can do in their state, every single one of them, including, by the way, the governor, the next governor of Virginia, my home state, who I would like to see start to talk about what she may be able to do in Virginia. So I don't think it has changed the landscape. I think it has been helpful. But what Donald Trump is saying in public, what he is shouting out loud, is that he wants Putin-esque elections. He wants elections in which ultimately the will of the voters doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter because he wants to be able to dictate what the states do in terms of counting and certifying election results. That's why he says states are agents of the federal government, which, by the way, is historically nonsensical. But nevertheless, that is what he is saying because he wants to be able to dictate the results.
Well, but part of the problem, Mark, is, you've got Democrats who in Texas, for example, fled the state and now they've come back. And so the thing that they fled the state for is going to happen on Wednesday. So you have folks going, what was the point? If you wind up in the same spot, you have a similar situation in a state like California where Gavin Newsom has really been charging headlong and sort of creating the kind of disruptive noise about what the Republicans are doing in Texas and trying to do elsewhere. But you find polling of California voters regarding the new map, 64% of voters say they want to keep the Independent Redistricting Commission, and 36% support returning congressional redistricting authority to state legislators. How does the sentiment among voters bump up against two things? One, what Democrats are trying to do to kind of keep pace and outwit the Republicans. But then, too, what Donald Trump's saying, well, I'm the federal government. I can do whatever I want. Just give me the authority. And it doesn't matter what those voters want, whether or not they get an independent commission or not.
Yeah, look, I think you put your finger right on it, Michael. And look, I was on your show weeks ago before Gavin Newsom or any of the Democratic governors started talking this way, saying that Democratic governors needed to redraw their maps and redraw every single Republican in their states. I said we ought to shoot for 30 seats. So I stand by the fact that Democrats should not just be matching what Republicans are doing, but should be exceeding it. That said, I'm writing a piece for tomorrow morning for Democracy Docket about hope. My version of hope is not the optimistic version that if we all fight really hard, we will win. I went back and read some of Barack Obama's talking about hope, and it was very much a sense that if we all put our minds together and if we all work really hard, everything turns out in the end. I'm not sure it does. My version of hope is that we do everything we can, and it may still not be enough, Michael. It may still not be enough, but we have to hope that we catch a break. We have to hope that the electorate of California comes around. We have to hope that the courts hold Donald Trump accountable. It doesn't mean that I think they will. It doesn't mean that every time I walk into a courtroom, I think, oh my God, I'm on a level playing field and I'm going to come out the other end a winner. But I have to hope that we will. And I think if we do that, we may make our luck, or we may not. Like, there's no guarantees at the end of this day that it works out okay. But we know it won't if we don't fight every single day with every tool available, with every ounce of strength we have to try to give ourselves hope.